Okay, let's resume. Listen, oi. Yesterday we started with the subject of auditing, and thereafter we started with the first chapter, which is nature, objectives, and scope of auditing. Firstly, I asked you the question that what do you mean by auditing? We'll link it to a simple example of you people who are students. So just like a student writes an exam, cannot check their own exam, has to be checked by an independent third person examiner. Similarly, we use that concept in case of financial statements. Every company, what they prepare is financial statements. To be more specific, every management of the company, what they prepare is the financial statements. Now, can the management check their own financial statements? No. It is because even if they have done something wrong in those financial statements, they are not going to tell themselves per se. Therefore, it has to be checked by an independent third person. That independent third person is known as the auditor. Important, independent examination. Now, when I say independent, it means auditor should be under influence of the management or no influence. No influence, correct. Thereafter, I asked you, can anybody become an auditor? No. Is there a qualification? Yes. Can you tell me what is the qualification? Chartered accountant. Thereafter, I told you in detail that basically chartered accountant are of two types: normal chartered accountants and practicing chartered accountants. Normal chartered accountants have an option. What they can do is they can work for anybody as an employee, they can set up their own business. On the other hand, when I talk about a practicing chartered accountant, he works and practices whatever a chartered accountant is supposedly to do. Like basically, I hope I filing income tax returns, filing GST returns, compliances, consultancy, auditing. So if you want to become an auditor, you have to be a practicing CA. And how do you become a practicing CA? You, after becoming a CA, should hold a COP, which is issued by ICAI. What is COP? Yeah? Correct. Certificate of practice. Without certificate of practice, can I do auditing? No. Acha, for certificate of practice, is any other exam required? No. I told you, you just have to apply to institute and get the and pay the requisite fees and get the COP. Okay. Thereafter, I also told you that in the examination, by default, whenever they just use the word chartered accountants, what do we always assume? They are practicing chartered accountants. So ultimately, I hope you realize even if they just say CA, we'll always assume practicing CA. Okay. Thereafter, I told you about this part, which was also important. That eventually, I hope you realize who are investing money and who are the owners are the shareholders. But do they take active participation in the business? No. Then I hope you realize they have invested money. So they have financial interest in the company. Since they have financial interest in the company, but they don't carry out the day-to-day business, then whom will they rely on? Correct. Can I say they will rely on the auditor because that money is used by the BOD. So auditor is an intermediary between the management and the shareholders. Whatever is done by the management is checked by the auditor and he will eventually report it to the shareholders. By the way, how will he report? He will report orally or in writing? Writing by giving a report, which is known as which report? Yeah, auditor's report. Perfect. So can I say the process was very simple? If there is a company, then I hyperlize it is run by the management. They will make the financial statements. They have to be checked by the auditor. Main word, he has to give an opinion on those financial statements, whether they are showing a true and fair view or not. And this eventually he will tell it to the shareholders. Important here, 2 marks true or false question was there. This opinion that he is giving obviously has to be in writing, and that will be in the format of nothing but an auditor's report. This auditor's report, the auditor will circulate it to the shareholders? No. Who will circulate? Correct. Management or BOD. So whose duty to give the reports to the shareholders or the members? Correct. It is the BOD, not the auditors. Acha. Thereafter, I told you about nothing but auditing advantages and disadvantages. Let us do a quick recap. If you people remember, this was nothing but 5 marks each. Okay. More important were the disadvantages. Let us talk about advantages though first. It helps to safeguard the financial interest. Then it helps to us to know whether the books of accounts are properly maintained or not. It helps to negotiate or obtain loans. Yesterday, I told you two companies, their financial position was almost the same. They approached a bank to take a loan, but I hope as bank will always prefer audited financial statements against unaudited financial statements. Thereafter, the wastages and losses, it helps in detection of that. Then it helps to keep a moral check on the employees. Yesterday I told you moral check. Hello, considering you only. Correct. Thereafter, it helps in settling the disputes. How many types of disputes? Three disputes: tax disputes, trade disputes, partnership disputes. Tax disputes between the assessee and the income tax authorities or any tax authorities, trade disputes between the workers and the management, and partnership disputes among the partners. And lastly, if the government has to issue sometimes a license, they require audited financial statements to give that license. They will not rely on unaudited financial statements. More important, more important were the disadvantages. Okay, these disadvantages are also known as inherent limitations of auditing. What do you mean by inherent? Yeah, inbuilt. Correct. It means they are avoidable, right? No, correct. They are unavoidable. So when I talk about inherent, they are not correct. Avoidable. In other words, they are unavoidable. Now, when you talk about inherent limitations, how many are there? Yeah? Four. There is a simple way to remember. How do you remember? Fact. Come on. First is nature of financial reporting. Acha, what I mean by this nature of financial reporting? Yeah, correct. Financial reporting means accounts. What is the nature of accounts? Can I say the information which is there in the accounts is persuasive in nature and it is not conclusive? What do you mean by persuasive? Tell me first. Doubtful. Perfect. What do you mean by conclusive? Not doubtful. Correct. But major information will be persuasive. Can you give me an example of persuasive information? Correct. Auto fare. Correct. And can you give me example of conclusive information? Boarding passes or tickets, travel tickets, etc. Okay. Next is nature of audit procedures. Yesterday I told you that eventually the law only has cut the wings of the auditor. They are not allowing him to check everything and anything. For a simple example, I hope he is allowed to attend general meetings, but he is not allowed to attend board meetings. So can I say eventually he is not allowed to check everything? That is a limitation. Next was cost benefit analysis. In order to increase benefit, he may try to decrease cost. But if he tries to decrease cost, he will not get proper information. So eventually auditing may suffer. And lastly, timeliness of financial reporting. I told you that if you want to do auditing, it is not lifetime. You have a time limit. Okay. Since there is a time limit, auditor will check 100% transactions. No. Will he check less than 100%? Yes. This less than 100% is known as sampling. Perfect. But when you do sampling, can I say some things will be missed out? Yes. But can you do anything about it? No. Because there is a limitation of time. Correct. So how many are there? Four. Fact. Nature of financial reporting, audit procedures, cost benefit, timeliness. Okay. After that, what we people had gone on to is basically the objectives and scope of audit. This also was important. Now, when you talk about objectives of auditing, come on, how many objectives of auditing are there? Yeah? Two. Perfect. Primary, secondary. Secondary also known as incidental, majorly. Okay. Now, when you talk about primary, what is primary? It is to form and express an opinion on the financial statements, whether they are showing a true and fair view or not. Perfect. Acha. Firstly, what do you mean by form? Yeah. Correct. Form is to conclude and express. How do you do? By reporting. Doubt. Financial statements are prepared by management. Correct. By setting up which system? Accounting system. Perfect. So ultimately remember financial statements, responsibility of management by setting up accounting system. What is the secondary objective of the auditor? To detect and prevent frauds and errors. What is detect? Find. What is prevent? To stop. Acha, this is auditor's secondary objective, right? So this has to be somebody's primary. Who's primary? Management's. Perfect. And that they will carry out by setting up which system? ICS. What is ICS? Internal Control System. Can you give me examples of ICS? Yesterday I gave you a few. CCTV cameras, identity cards, authorization or approvals. Anybody cannot sell anything. Anybody cannot purchase anything. I hope as only the people who are authorized in the organization can do that thing. So ultimately, there is a control for nothing but frauds and errors. So that is nothing but a part of internal control system. So management sets up how many systems here? Two systems. One AS, second ICS. Both the systems made by management, implemented by management, maintained by management, checked by auditor, whether the system is there or not, whether it is working or not, whether it is in effect or not, whether it is continuous or not. So everything done by management, checked by auditor. Therefore, the auditor is a dash and not a dash. Auditor is a watchdog and not a bloodhound. You remember? Okay. Thereafter, let us talk about nothing but the scope of audit. When you talk about scope of audit, scope means extent of coverage. How much do we have to cover is what we people are discussing here. It depends on what. How many factors does it depend on? Three. Terms of engagement, requirements of law, and I see When you talk about terms of engagement, what is terms of engagement? Yeah, correct. Can I say in simple words, it is terms and conditions? Correct. Now, why do they enter into terms and conditions? If you remember yesterday, I told you to avoid misunderstanding. Like there was misunderstanding here. No, I was feeling they are going to give me 2 crores only for head office, but they thought they are giving me 2 crores for HO plus branch. So there is understanding or misunderstanding? Misunderstanding. So in order to avoid this, we have to fix the terms and conditions. Thereafter, requirements of law and ICAI. Question. Say in terms of engagement, we people decided something X, but I hope realize law is telling not to do X. So think and tell me, will X hold good? No. Why? Because law always supersedes terms of engagement. So ultimately, if you people go against the law and then you decide the terms and engagement, ultimately you are not going to succeed because your law will always supersede terms of engagement. All cool? All cool. Come on. Next was a very important question for which I gave you homework to ultimately find the key. If you have not done, still try. One of the student, in fact, tried also. Yeah, I'll tell you that later. Let me also say I've not seen it entirely. Principal aspects which are to be covered in audit or areas to be checking before you form an opinion. Okay, important one. When you people talk about this, whatever I've circled basically are the answers. Okay. So basically what the auditor has to check is AS and ICS. Then he has to check the arithmetical accuracy in the PNL. Then he has to check the valuation of the assets, valuation of the liabilities. Then he has to check the results shown by the PNL, whether they are true and fair. Then he has to check the systems and procedures performed by the management, whether they are proper or not. Then he has to check whether the transaction is valid and authentic. Valid is business and not personal. Authentic is real and not fake. Thereafter, he will have to check whether statutory requirements are followed or not. And lastly, of all this, what he will do is nothing but the reporting to the accurate person or accurate body. All cool? All cool. And thereafter, we had done the question of BPGA, if I'm not wrong. It is not here, it is there. Wait. Yeah. Hey, what is BPGA? Yeah? Correct. Can I say it is basic principles governing an audit? Acha. What are basic principles governing an audit? Correct. In two simple words, they are professional responsibilities to be followed by whom? Auditor, whenever he carries out an audit. So all these basic principles he has to keep in his mind. Only then he should carry out an audit. How many basic principles are there? Yeah, 9 basic principles. Perfect. That, is there any key? Yes, there is. Come on, tell me. I can see what undo, pandu, don't do, cannot see. Perfect. Come on, one by one. I stands for integrity, objectivity, and independence. What do you mean by this? Yeah, auditor should be honest, sincere, straightforward, and must have an impartial attitude. Perfect. Come on. Confidentiality. What do you mean by that? Information should be disclosed to the third party or should not be disclosed? Should not be disclosed. However, can he disclose? Yes. Under how many situations? Two. If there is any legal or professional duty, or there is the authority or permission of the management, then can you disclose? Yeah. Acha. Next, skills and competence. Can I say anybody who is carrying out audit work should have the requisite skills and competence to carry out that work? Next, work performed by others. Who is using the work performed by others? Auditor. Acha, in others, how many people are there? Yeah? Three. Come on, which three? Assistants, other auditors, and experts. Perfect. Acha. Uh, should the auditor blindly rely on the work of assistants? No. Because if at all they make certain mistake and if at all it goes wrong, who is responsible? Correct. Auditor, not the assistant, because auditor is signing. So can I say you should review their work? Okay. Next was audit evidence. What is audit evidence? One word, yeah. Information. Correct. On which the auditor bases his opinion. Correct. But I hope as important was this information should not be normal. It should be sufficient and appropriate. Perfect. So in short, we tell it say. This is an important phrase. What do you mean by sufficient? Enough quantity wise. What do you mean by appropriate? Correct. Relevant and reliable. So this is quality. So sufficiency is quantity, appropriateness is quality. Okay. Come on. Thereafter, planning. Why should the auditor plan? To complete audit in a correct, timely and efficient manner. So if you want to complete audit in a timely and efficient manner, can I say it is necessary for you to plan? Auditor should have one plan for all the clients, no? No. Acha, he should have one plan for particular client and another plan for another client. Yeah. Why like that? Because every client's business will be same or different? Different. So can I say plans of the auditor should be based on dash? Correct. It should be based on the knowledge of the client's business. Perfect. Thereafter, don't do. Don't do stands for documentation. Come on here. What do you mean by documentation? Documentation is basically recording the information. You cannot fire it. Correct. Acha. Basically, this will act as an evidence. Evidence of whose work? Yeah. Correct. Can I say auditor's work? Correct. So if at all anybody tells something against the auditor, what he has in his defense is documentation. This documentation is also known as working papers. Correct. It is just a fancy name here. Whether it's a documentation, whether it's a working papers, meaning is one and the same. Come on, next one. Cannot. Conclusions and reporting is to form and express. And lastly, systems. How many systems? Yeah, two systems, AS and ICS. Correct. Can I say depending on the systems, auditor will decide how much procedures to perform? If I tell you that the systems are weak, then can I say procedures will be more? If the systems are efficient, procedures will be less. So depending on the system, auditor will decide NTE of AP. What is NTE? Nature, timing, extent of audit procedures. What do you mean by nature? Which procedure? Timing, when to perform that procedure, extent, how much to perform that procedure, whether it should be more or whether it should be less. All cool? All cool. Come on, let's go ahead, please. Yeah, we had made a key chart also. Yeah. Come on. After this, the next question that we have is basically a very simple one, which is what are the different types of audit? Come on. Can you tell me different types of audit? Okay, okay. Acha, when you people talk about different types of audit, very simple here it is. Basically, there are two types of audit. When I say there are two types of audit, normally people tell internal, external, but they are wrong. Basically, the two types of audit are one, statutory audit, oh, and other one, voluntary audit. Repeating, one, statutory audit, other, voluntary audit. Now, as the name suggests, statutory audit. What do you mean by statute? Correct. Can I say statute means law? So can I say this audit, which will be carried out, this will definitely be compulsory, and it will definitely be compulsory under law. Now, what do you mean by voluntary? Voluntary means yourself only, no? So eventually this will be compulsory or it is not compulsory? No, 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 no. So can I say this is not compulsory to be carried out under any law, but still it is carried out. Why? To achieve some purpose. Repeating again. How many basic types of audit are there? Two. One, statutory. Second, voluntary. Statutory, it is compulsory to be carried out under any law. Voluntary, it is not compulsory to be carried out under any law, but is still carried out to achieve some purpose. Basically, when I say to achieve some purpose, have common sense here. To achieve some purpose is to achieve some advantage only, no? Let us take examples one by one. Firstly, let us talk about nothing but statutory. Can you give me some example if you can think of any statutory audit? I will just start. Okay. Say for a simple example, companies. Now, when you people do company's audit is compulsory under the Companies Act 2013. So it is written in the Companies Act 2013 that the financial statements of the company should be audited. So can I say if it is given under law, you will have to audit, whether you like it or not? Correct. So this type of audit becomes compulsory and therefore it is known as which audit? Statutory audit. Acha, one more example. If you have heard tax audit. Tax audit is something which is compulsory under the Income Tax Act 1961. Income Tax Act 1961 specifies that if at all your turnover or the income is greater than so and so amount, then you people will have to get your financial statements audited. Then use common sense. Even if you like it or not, will you have to do audit? Yes. Why? Because of the Income Tax Act 1961. Then ultimately that becomes compulsory. So that becomes statutory. One more example. Banks. It is given under the Banking Regulations Act 1949. Correct. That basically I hope the financial statements have to be audited. Now, if it is told under the Banking Regulations Act that the financial statements have to be audited, whether you like it or not, will you have to audit? Yes, then that becomes statutory. One more example, cooperative societies. It is given under the Cooperative Societies Act 1912. that all the financial statements which are prepared by the cooperative societies have to be audited. Then whether you like it or not, will you have to do audit? Oh yes, there is no other option. Acha, something more, electricity company audits. It is given in the Electricity Act that if you people make financial statements, you will have to audit. Then you will have to audit. One more example, last one. Corporations which are set up under an act of the parliament. Corporations which are set up under an act of the parliament. Can you give me example? The prime example, which you people should definitely know, ICAI. Perfect. Definitely LIC also, but you can say ICAI also. I hope as ICAI is set up under an act of parliament. So can I say the financial statements have to be audited? The members of ICAI only will audit because only they have the right to audit at the end of the day. But those members are independent because institute is separate. Okay, separate legal identity at the end of the day. And therefore, ultimately, the corporation which is set up by the parliament also have to get the financial statements audited. So these are all your examples of what? Statutory audit. So what are the examples? Tell me. Companies under the Companies Act 2013, tax audit under the Income Tax Act 1961, then bank audit under the Banking Regulations Act, cooperative societies audit under the Cooperative Societies Act, electricity audit under the Electricity Supply Act, then corporations which are set up under an act of parliament. All cool? All cool. Let us go to voluntary. Come on. Anybody? Example? Come on, yeah. Some example. Correct. One example is HUF. I hope as it is not written under law that HUF should get the financial statements audited. Still you want to do, you can do. Why? To maintain peace in the family. Acha, apart from that, correct. Partnership firm. Very good, yeah. Not bad. Acha, why partnership firm? Listen, I hope realize yesterday, if you people remember, can I say when there are partners, there can be disputes? So ultimately, can I say in order to settle the disputes or avoid the disputes, it is better to audit? So basically, what will be the purpose? Can I say to settle the disputes or avoid the disputes? Acha, apart from that, what you can say is sole proprietor. Okay, so if you're a sole proprietor, you are not required to do audit. Okay, but still, if you want to do audit, what can be the reason? So ultimately, sole proprietor wants a loan. So ultimately, yesterday I told you if you want a loan, the banks will always prefer audited financial statements. So can I say if they prefer audited financial statements, but it is not required under law to do audit, then if you do audit, it will become which audit? Yeah, voluntary. Correct. Just one thing I want to tell, then we people revise and mark it. If you people have a look at partnership firm, can I say there is an act of partnership? Arey yaar, partnership act was there, no? Partnership act, I think, if I'm not wrong, 1932. Correct. Now, just use your common sense, okay? Act is there. Some people feel like this, just when there is an act, it is always compulsory. Repeating. Many people feel that because there is an act, it becomes compulsory. No, it is not like that. It should be written inside the act that audit is compulsory. So it is not written in the Partnership Act anywhere that audit of financial statements is compulsory. Whereas here it is written everywhere. So ultimately, I hope realize when I say partnership firm, it has an act. But I hope realize just because you have an act, does it become statutory? No. It should be written inside the act that to audit the financial statements is compulsory. If it is not written, then it is always voluntary. Whether you want it, then you do, else you don't. All cool? Acha. Marks. You should be shocked to an extent. 5 marks for this much. See, they are not testing your knowledge. Oh my God. They are not testing your knowledge basically for the meaning. Meaning is so simple, yeah. This is compulsory, this is not compulsory. You think they are giving you marks for this? No. Basically, they are giving you marks for this. Examples. Major part is examples, especially of statutory. Come on, now answer fast, fast. Come on, how many basic types of audit? Two. Come on, one, statutory. Second, voluntary. Statutory, compulsory. Voluntary, not compulsory under any law. Correct. Still, it is carried out. Why? To achieve some purpose. Obviously, that purpose will be some advantage. Yeah. Come on, give me examples of statutory first. Companies under Companies Act, tax audit, then bank audit under banking regulations, cooperative society audit under Cooperative Societies Act, then electricity audit, then Corporation set up under an act of parliament. Okay. Give me examples of voluntary. Sole proprietor, HUF, partnership firm, etc. All cool? All cool. Come, textbook please. Let's knock this off. I have it on page 3.4, but obviously it does not matter because your pages are different. We'll finish this chapter today. Company audit will start. Company audit is which chapter? It will take time. It is like at least 5 times this chapter. But it is good only, that chapter, not that bad. Obviously, it is company audit, so obviously it is related to company law, but then how can I help it? You chose CA, didn't you? Yeah, today there is like a cyclonic warning in Mumbai. Yeah? It is already raining. Cyclone is approaching as if other situations were lesser. Everything is coming down. Slowly and steadily, you can see Thanos also coming from above now. I don't know, he'll come. Yeah, he'll do some snapshot and get lost. I know, right? I know. Okay, now, yeah, that is chapter 10 of the chapter. Okay, listen. Done, yeah, marked, yeah. Come on. Next, what we have is nothing but concept of independence of an auditor. It's so simple, yeah. This I already told you yesterday, but now it a bit detailed. Now, when you talk about independence of an auditor, can you tell me what is the definition of independence? Not, oh wow. I asked what is the definition of independence. Some people are like, it's not dependent. What the hell are you talking about? When you say not dependent, that is the meaning of independent. Wow, that's fancy. I likes. Free from any influence, under no influence. Major part is that only. But important is there is no definition. Why there is no definition? Because independence is a feeling. Repeating. Independence cannot be Arey, hear me out, which feeling re baba? You are to gone only in the morning, it seems. When I say independence, firstly, it cannot be defined. Why it cannot be defined? Because it is a state of mind and personal character. Repeating. Independence cannot be defined because it is a state of mind and personal character. Now, mind of the people and character of the people from people to people Is same or it is different? Different. So can there be one static definition for independence? No. And therefore independence cannot be defined because it is just a state of mind. Correct. However, it means that obviously the auditor should be under influence or no influence. No influence. Correct. See, they may try to influence you. They means who? Management. Management will always try and influence the auditor in some way or the other. I hope rise by giving certain gifts, etc. I hope rise by giving good hospitality, etc. By giving some bribe, etc. So I hope rise that is always possible, where there will be some benefits coming to the auditor, by which the management will try the auditor to do something wrong for them. But if you do that, then eventually can I say you are lacking independence? Correct. So always remember, firstly, that independence cannot be defined. It is a state of mind and personal character. Independence basically means that there should be no influence of the management on the auditor. Only then you can do the work freely. Else, can you do the work freely? No. If I tell you that auditor is dependent on the management, the entire objective of auditing only will be lost. Like examiner, hello. So eventually I hope realize the auditor, if he wants to achieve the objectives of audit, the auditor should be dependent on the management or independent. Independent. Now some English. Independence must not only exist, but it should also appear to exist. Ayo, early in the morning, so much English to understand. Yeah, let's try together. Firstly, they say that independence must not only exist, it should also appear to exist. Means, if you are independent, you should not only be independent, it should be known to all by your work that eventually you are independent. Just to give you a simple example here, say you people tell me, sir, we are intelligent. Ah, will I accept that on face value? No. So can I say, obviously, you may be intelligent, but you will have to show your intelligence. How can you show your intelligence? By answering smartly, or by making talking smartly, or clearing intercia in the first shot, giving tests which are good, whatever. So then use common sense. Can I say, just by telling that you are intelligent, you do not become intelligent. You will have to even show your intelligence. Similarly, auditor, just by telling that he is independent, he did not become independent. You will also have to portray your independence. How do you portray your independence? By work. For a simple example, when the auditor gives a report, correct? Say in his report, he has always taken the side of the management. Management have followed everything, every damn thing. There is no error, there is no fraud. What do you think? Correct. It means I hope is definitely the auditor, correct, is hand in hand with nothing but the management. So what do you think? Eventually everything will be followed by the management in reality? No. There is not a single company, howsoever big, howsoever small, that ultimately does not have any fraud or does not have any error. But here auditor is telling everything is followed only. It means obviously, even if he is telling that he is independent, does he appear to be independent? No. But if I tell you that, okay, he has given a reasonable report, that management have followed some things, but some things they have not followed also. And he is reporting that in his report. Does he now at least seem to be independent? Yes. So it means what? Independence must not only exist. You should just not tell that it is there. By your work, it should also be portrayed that it is actually there. Now do you understand? Come on, tell me. What do you mean by independence? Correct. You should not be under any influence. Acha, it can be defined, right? Tell me a definition first. Oh, there's no definition. Why? Yeah. Correct. Because it is just a state of mind. Correct. Acha. Thereafter, independence must only exist. No. Acha. It should only appear to exist. No. Independence must not only exist, it should also appear to exist. Correct. Is this okay? Okay. Come on. Textbook. A simple 4 marks question, yeah. Chotu sa, kunchan. Point 8. Page, obviously yours is different, but it is point 8. Now, ICAI had issued a guidance note on independence. These guidance notes you don't have to learn, okay? It's just a reference. That in the guidance note of independence of auditor, they had told that you should not work for anybody else, whatever they are telling. You should be independent in your approach. Come on, read it. If a 4 marks it is decent, yeah. 4 points. After this also lecture. Ah, no holiday. Oh. Oh. Sleep is luxury. Oh, definitely. Oh, today law. Last lecture. Thanks for coming. Oh. Some people are asking, what is holiday? Yeah? It is like this only. Holiday, it just exists, but it does not appear to exist. I know. It is not appearing at all. You know, yeah. I know. Link ho gaya. Come on, you're done. Come on. Let us move to the next one. Next one also is simple. Qualities of an auditor. Wow, this is interesting. Come on. What qualities an auditor should have? I'm Array, normal qualities, yeah. Straightforward, honest, okay. Apart from that, professional qualities, correct. Can I say definitely there has to be some qualities of an auditor? Acha. Now, basically, obviously, there are two types of qualities. One is professional qualities, other are personal qualities. Now, when you people talk about professional qualities, obviously, firstly, he has to be qualified. When I say he has to be qualified, he has to be a practicing chartered accountant. That is his qualification after all. Apart from that, when you talk about professional qualities, he will have many clients. Since he will have many clients, every client's business will be same? No. Different? Yes. Then definitely he must have the knowledge of different type of statutes. Say for a simple example, I have one client which is a company. I have another client which is a bank. I have another client which is a cooperative society. Now, all of them belong to the same law? No. If you people appreciate, this is Companies Act 2013. This is Banking Regulations Act. This is Cooperative Societies Act. So can I say the law for all the three clients are different? So can I say as an auditor, I should possess nothing but decent knowledge of the law or statutes of different clients? Why? You also know, because I hope for every of this client, you also have to make a plan, no? But it is possible to make a plan only if you have knowledge of their statutes or law. Hmm. Apart from that, I hope you realize when you talk about nothing but qualities of an auditor, obviously you can have certain personal qualities also. Acha, what personal qualities he can have? Yeah, think. Come on, have some brain usage. Ethical, honest. Okay, tell me something different now from honest, ethical, and unbiased. Give me some different words now. Try. What qualities do you think should be there in an auditor? Competent person. Okay. Analytical skills. Okay. Should not be insane. Wow. Wow. Not be submissive. Oh my god. Patience. Correct. Punctuality. Oh. Independent. Good judgment is nice. Attitude also to an extent. He must be a dog. Watchdog. Wow. This is how we answer. He must be a dog, it seems, yeah. He must go one step ahead when he feels something is fishy. Oh my god. Communicating skills. Genuineness. You really think these qualities are existent in the first place? Okay, listen. Confidentiality. Be like me. Shut up and listen. Chumma. Listen now. Huh. When you talk about personal qualities, firstly, you can say he must be tactful. You understand tactful? Tactful means ultimate. No, oh, wow. It means that if you people have a problem, you must know how to deal with that problem. That is the meaning of tactfulness. If there is a problem or issue which arises, you must know how to deal with that. Okay. Apart from that, you can say judgment. He must have at least that quality to make a proper judgment. Judgment, a proper decision. But once he makes a proper decision, can I say he should stick to that decision? That is the meaning of clear headedness. Acha, what do you mean by clear headedness? Balda. No. Clear headedness means there should not be any confusion in the head. I mean, if you are deciding whether between this or that, you should be very clear whether this or whether that. That is the meaning of clear headedness. Apart from that, patience. Can I say definitely whenever the auditor is handling all the clients, he must handle all the clients with patience. In other words, he must not be short tempered. He must have a good temper. Short is okay. Short tempered, illa. Huh. Apart from that, you can also say that auditor should have common sense. See, it's a quality. Yeah, it is actually. Apart from that, can I say reliability? In other words, I hope realize he must have the quality that he must be trusted. Correct. Apart from that, I don't know how many of you have heard. Have you heard discretion? Discretion means your own choice, your own will. It means the quality of the auditor should be that whatever he is doing should be at his own discretion, not under the order of anybody else. In other words, it links to independence. Are, do you understand? Correct. So, tactfulness, judgment, clear headedness, patience, good temper, common sense, reliability, trust, discretion. These are all your which qualities? Yeah. Correct. These are all your personal qualities. All cool? All cool. But always remember one thing. Huh? Although we are talking qualities of an auditor, he must not only have the knowledge of the subject of auditor, he must also have knowledge of different subjects like accounts, tax, etc. Why? Because he has to check books of accounts. Dash. How can you check books of accounts if you don't know accounts only? Similarly, he must have the knowledge of tax because he has to check whether any tax evasion has happened or not. So auditor should not only have the knowledge of auditing, that is obviously he should. Apart from that, he should have knowledge of different subjects of accounts and tax. All cool? All cool. Come, textbook. Yeah, short and sweet answer. Yeah. It is the very last thing which is there. Come on. First read the answer, then mark the answer. The first step is you read. The second step is you mark. Left side, what I've written is tact meaning. Tact means art of dealing with a problem or a situation. It's an art. Acha, there is one industry also. What do you mean by industry? Industry means you should have the knowledge about the particular industry. That, for a simple example, say I'm auditing Seat tires. Then ultimately I should have the knowledge of that industry particularly. So I must be aware of industries. That is the meaning. Clear-headedness means there should not be any confusion in the head when you are making a decision. So if you are selecting between X and Y, you should be very clear what you have to select, X or Y. That is the meaning of clear-headedness. It means no confusion. Ah, Sunday effect after all. One day should be allocated only for sleeping. Yeah, I know. Lakshay, I'll tell you that when I do company audit, it will come under disqualifications. Today only. Come on here, all done? Okay. See, basically, I hope realize we did three things up till now. One was types of audit. How many types of audit? Two. Statutory, voluntary. Statutory, compulsory under any law. Voluntary, not compulsory under any law. Still, it is carried out for some purpose. Purpose is advantage. Major marks you will get for correct. Examples, especially examples of statutory. In voluntary, hardly there are examples here. Sole proprietor, HUF, partnership form. Your examples are very important. Companies, tax audit, banking audit, electricity audit, then cooperative societies audit, corporations under an act of parliament, etc. Okay. Apart from that, thereafter, what we did is independent. Small concept, but yet important. When you talk about independent, what is the definition? It cannot be defined. Why? Because it's a state of mind. Basic meaning is there should not be any influence. Acha, independence must only exist. No, it should also appear to exist. Perfect. Thereafter, we did qualities of an auditor. When you talk about qualities, basically you can divide it into two categories. One is professional quality, other is personal quality. Professional quality, you should have the knowledge of client's business. So you should have knowledge of different type of statutes and laws. So ultimately, I hope realize you should have knowledge of audit, accounts, tax, etc. When you talk about nothing but personal qualities, tact, judgment, clear-headedness, patience, good temper, common sense, reliability, trust, discretion, etc. Out of this, at least you should know six, whatever they have given. At least six you should be able to write. Minimalistic. If you are able to write more than that, all of that, then it is good enough. But at least you should be able to write six of the personal qualities. All cool? All cool. Just come to the textbook beginning of this chapter. Marks for qualities, if it gets asked for 4 marks. Qualities. Okay. If you come to the beginning of the very chapter, let us see what we have done and what is still remaining. Okay. Can I say auditing definition meaning done? Can I say objectives of audit done? Okay. Can I say thereafter scope of audit, objective scope both done? Principal aspects done. Correct. Types of audit done. Thereafter inherent limitations of auditing done. Okay. Advantages of auditing done. Acha. Thereafter, you have something like relationship of auditing with other discipline. Other discipline mean basically other subject as such. So, what is the relationship between auditing and accounts? What is the relationship between auditing and law? What is the relationship between auditing and economics? Like that. So, basically, this is your homework, as you can see. You just have to read. Okay. I will ask anybody whenever there is a next lecture. Bolte, are you sure? Oh, yeah. Look at me. I'll ask you. Just read, Ray. Not relevant that from exam point of view. Independence of auditor? Yes. Then there are threats to auditor's independence. This I will do up later, not now. Why? Because for that you require further knowledge of auditing. I cannot tell it now because I have to link it to something else. So there with a pencil you write down later. Pencil, huh? Because that later obviously will come. So then it has to go, no? Yeah. This also is an important question. Threats to independence, 5 marks. Later. Then you will see there is essay 220. What do you mean by essay? standards on auditing. All the standards on auditing we people are going to take up later together. So when we do standards, we'll do this. Thereafter, again, there is SA 210. Since again it is standard on auditing, can I say this also? Later. Because that will go in standards on auditing. And obviously, wherever this later is there, all places I'll come and I'll tell you this later we had written and we'll take up later. Basic principles governing an audit. Done. Which topic 10, yeah? No, it is a part of this only. Inside only. It is related, don't worry. I know. Huh. So basic principles, done. Apart from that, qualities of an auditor, done. Okay. Apart from that, oops. Can I say, obviously leaving standards on auditing away, can I say the chapter is done? Obviously that standard on auditing are left, but then that has to be anyways taken later, yeah. So you cannot mix both of them, else you'll get confused. All cool?